Okay, step one in the performance eval, or task one in the performance eval, is to identify different rigging hardware and components. And what do they use for? So we'll start here on the table. We'll start here with the eye-to-eye synthetic web sling. It's used to attach a load to a hook or whatever to lift with. Then we have an eye-to-eye wire rope sling, again used to attach a load to a hook to lift items. Third one is an endless or continuous round sling, again used to hook loads to the crane or whatever we're using to lift. Then we have a metal mesh sling, eye to eye, again used to lift loads from the hook to the component, and this one used for hot and sharp things. We have a shackle used to connect a sling to an eye bolt, hook on the hook of a crane to make a connection. We have a swivel die bolt used to go into a piece of equipment and then lift at an angle. And then we have a shoulder die bolt, which is also screwed into a component or into a hole and used to lift a component. The second one is to inspect the different hardware and components, and lifting devices. So we'll start with the shoulder die bolt first. The first thing we look for is if there's a rating on it. Not all eye bolts have ratings on it. This has 7/8 and the manufacturer, so we would look up the manufacturer's information on what the rating is. The second thing we would look at is the eye itself or the hole. Any cracks, deformations, gouges, rust, anything like that. There's a little bit of surface rust here, and there's a little bit of a gouge right there in several spots, but not enough to make for major damage, so that part is good. The last thing we do is we look at the threads and the eye bolt itself. This eye bolt bends down here at the bottom, and the threads down at the bottom are kind of damaged. That makes this eye bolt unusable because of the damaged threads being bent. The second inspection would be the shackle. Again, the first thing we do is we look for the rating, and that's 8.5 tons. 8.5 tons means that's what we can lift. Second part, we look at the ring of the shackle, or the hook of the shackle, not the hook, the opening of the shackle. We look for cracks, gouges, deformations, any sort of damage to any of the metal surfaces around there. The last thing we look at, does the pin screw in and out easily? The threads are all good, it turns easily. If this has been twisted or pried or opened or whatever, this is not going to come apart easily. It's not going to screw together easily. So, pin goes all the way in up to the shoulder. This has a rating. This is good to use. Inspection of the slings. The synthetic sling first. We always start with the tag. The tag is all readable. We can read all the numbers on it. It is good. Then we go to the splice. Look at the back side of the splice. I don't know if you can see it on there, but there's a little fray here and here. That's just the end of where the sewn material comes together. It's not ripping apart, so that is okay. Then we go to the eyes, look for any damage inside there. And while we're in there, we look to see if there's any UV damage. We check the color here to the rest of the sling. Go to the other eye, do the same thing. Look for any damages. Look for where it's sewn back together to make the eye. Everything here looks good. This is a little dirty, but I don't believe the dirt would hurt anything. This would pass inspection. The second sling we look at is the wire rope sling. You can already tell it's kind of kinked, but the main reason, there is no tag. Since there is no tag, this is unsafe to use because we don't know what we can lift with it. So right there, no tag means it is not safe to use. The next one is the round sling, continuous. Tag is in good shape, you can read everything, and then we're going to run our finger feeling for any damage of the nylon or the yarn inside there. So far so good. Everything feels good. Haven't found anything. As I'm pulling around there, I'm looking for damage on the outside, so I flip it over, look for any cuts, holes, punctures, damage on the inside part of it. Small little marks there, but I don't think enough to make any major damage. I don't see any of the yarn exposed, any of the threads exposed. Another little small wear mark there, but again, nothing's exposed. So I would say it's good to use. Last inspection, metal mesh sling. Right on the eyes itself is where we find our load rating or our tag, telling us how much we can lift. So that part is good. We look at the eyes for any gouges, marks, damage, wear, rust, anything that would cause a deformation or anything like that. They all look good. The hardware looks good. Then we would go to the metal mesh part and look for any damage, any broken links, anything like that. And this all looks good. So this would be good to use. The next part of the table is to identify the different and inspect the different lifting items. So we have a chain fall or a chain hoist manual. First thing we use to lift vertical loads only. Nothing horizontal, nothing at an angle. First thing we do is check the rating, and then we start looking at the hooks. That same half-ton rating is on this hook and on this hook, so they all work together, they all match. Second thing we would do on both hooks, look for any gouges, cracks, deformation, stretching, elongation, nothing there. Look at the safety latch. Does it go back to the spot that makes it? With that safety latch fitting well, then we know the hook is not elongated. The last check we would do is going through, making sure all the chain is in good shape. There's no bent, cracked, stretched links, anything like that. For the element of time, not going to go through the whole thing, but looks good, it would pass inspection. Next, we have the Ratchet lever chain hoist, used for lifting stuff vertically, and we can use it to move stuff horizontally also. Rating of 3/4 ton. Check the hooks. They're all rated for the same amount, so they're good. Suspension hook, load hook. We do the same inspection on both of them, so I'm just going to do one. Check the safety latch. Comes back and hits the mark on the hook that it says, so the hook is not bent or stretched. Look for gouges, deformations, cracks, anything odd in either of the hooks. They both pass. Does it swivel? Does it move? Look at the chain. Again, similar to the other one, we'd inspect our chain for cracks, gouges, deformations, any stretch links, anything like that. Last thing we would look at is, does it spin freely in and out with the fast wind handle? And it does, so that would pass inspection. Third one is the cable come along, used to only move things horizontally. So we'd hook it up and pull something together horizontally. In the book it says these are not rated for vertical lifting. The manufacturer says they are, but we will go with the book and not do it, even though it has a rating on here for vertical. It also has a rating for horizontal. We make sure the rating is above what we're trying to move. Check the hooks the same way. These are not marked with the same like those are, but I'm sure they're rated for the same thing. Check the pulley. Does the cable move through there? Does it roll? The hooks, nothing gouged, nothing broke, nothing bent. Safety latch is there. Last thing we would do is inspect the cable and the handle to make sure that they work like they're supposed to. All looks good. Safe to use. The last couple items here, we have the hydraulic jack, used to lift things vertically. We inspect the screw. We inspect the base, make sure there's no cracks, no gouges, no, uneven. Look at the bottom of the base. Make sure that this little screw screws in and out, because that's how we release and lock it to go up and down. Seems to work. Jack passes inspection. The second jack is a screw jack, given it the name because it screws in and out to raise up and down. Oh, one thing I forgot. Capacity of the jack, 4 tons. That's our capacity we can lift. This jack, 1.5 ton. That's the capacity of our jack. Does the screw in and out? Seems to move easily. Is the base in good shape? No damage, no bends, no breaks. And the pad that we're going to be lifting in, also the same thing. They all look similar. They all look like they're going to work. This jack would pass inspection. Also used to lift loads vertically. Last item on the table is the tugger. The tugger is used to move loads horizontally. The first thing we would inspect, rated capacity. Back here it says 1,700 pounds. That is what we can move with this winch, 1,700 pounds. Next we check the hook for any damage, any marks, any gouges. Safety latch opens and closes. Adjustable or movable, not adjustable, and it would pass the inspection there. Then we would start inspecting the cable. We would pull it all the way out, inspect the whole cable, and then pull it back in, but we're not going to do that in this application. Again, everything so far seems to check out. The only problem there is with this is cracked from being in storage and things dropped on it. The crack in the cover. So if you want to tell me that you would not use it because of that, I will accept that answer. If you say you could still use it in a dry atmosphere, I would accept that atmosphere, but it's not going to be used in any component where it may get some water into the motor because the housing is cracked. That's the inspection part of all of this. If you have any questions, let me know before we get started on the performance eval.